Hey guys, how you going? Hey guys, are you worried about 5G or EMFs? Well, I'd like to introduce you to the sponsor of this video. It's a business who supports the truth. It's EMF harmonized and they sell EMF protection technology. It's like Tesla technology. The technology filters out the harmful RF radio frequency waves and has been scientifically proven to do so. As we use our computers, phones and tablets, the EMFs damage our DNA. In other words, consider getting some EMF protection from the link below, as you'll protect yourself, you'll help the growth of my channel, and you'll help fellow truth supporting businesses. And just so you can see the products for yourself, this is the products. And it gives you, even the website will give you a lot of information. So if you'd like to check it out, the link will be down below. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate your support. Okay, guys, before I start tonight, I just want to give a shout out to Eric. He has been a long-time listener and has recently been in a car accident, quite a serious one from the sound of it. So if you can give your well wishes and prayers to Eric, that would be very much appreciated. I'm hoping everything goes well for you, Eric, and yeah, we'll pray for you. Okay, into this, how I started with the New South Wales Health Minister was I was looking at the restrictions on prescribing the Droxy. And I went onto this, which was the TGA website, government website, and this is how to do a very simple dig. Okay, this is the simplest thing that I could show to start anyone off in looking for themselves. Okay, and it went down and they talk about sudden heart attacks, irreversible eye damage, all this rubbish. And then you can, if things like this pop up, you can click on them and it'll bring up something else. So now they've considered it a poison. Dear God. Where was the lady? Okay. Where you start getting into things is when you find, which I have to go back to the other page for because that's where I saw it first, a name. One second. Okay, guys, this seems to have changed since the last time I looked at this. Okay, because the person's name is no longer in here. And it was in April. So they're not putting people's names in here anymore. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to find out who the Minister of Health, not the Ministry of Health, that sounds like a cult. Minister. Who are you contacting? No. Okay, this is a lot harder than it was last time I tried to look. And it still isn't showing me anything. Okay. So we'll search who is the... I'll just pause this one. My bad typing. Okay, so what I typed in was, who is the Health Minister for New South Wales? Let's go in here. And this person's changed. It was someone else. The lady had a different name a few months ago. What is going on here? Okay, so let's look at this lady. Who is Bronnie Taylor? So we're going to look up her name. Bronnie Taylor. She's a member of the Nationals. We've got birds going on now. The rain has stopped, so... okay, let's look at current prior positions. That's what you want to start looking at. Okay, obviously she's currently the Minister for the New South Wales Legislative Council. Oh no, she was? Oh, she still is. There's no end date. And the Minister for Health, Regional Youth and Women. Ah, on the 2nd of April. So they had a changeover because the other lady was someone else, I'm telling you now. So what they're doing here is swapping people around. Why? So no one gets the blame for what they've done? Because I wanted to know why HCQ was banned and what the qualifications of the lady who banned it were. Okay, she had a position Parliamentary Secretary to the Deputy Premier in Southern New South Wales from 2017 to 2019. She was Parliamentary Secretary from 2016 to 2017. Temporary Chair of Committees 2016 to 2016. Member Select Committee on Off-Protocol Prescribing of Chemotherapy. 9 months and 8 days, apparently. 6 months. 16 to 17. Member of General Purpose Standing Committee. Member of General Purpose Standing Committee 4. There was a 6 and a 4. Member of Standing Committee on Law and Justice. Okay. Okay, I don't want to see her speeches. I want to know who she is. So let's go to Wikipedia. Have a look. The Minister for Mental Health, Regional Youth. She's a politician. She's been a member of the New South Wales Legislative Council since 2015. She served on the Cooma-Monaro Shire Council. She studied nursing at the University of Sydney and developed a specialty in the field of both palliative care and oncology. Okay, learning from pharmaceutical written textbooks. She was one of the original clinical nurse consultants appointed for the McGrath Foundation. Oh, there you go, foundation. These are not what they appear to be. Most foundations are money laundering situations. Then she worked for New South Wales Health. Her final nursing appointment before entering Parliament was Director of Cancer Services for the Southern New South Wales Local Health District. Okay, political career, 2015. Personal life, is married to Duncan Taylor and together they have 2 daughters. And Taylor is the sister-in-law of Angus Taylor. Who's Angus Taylor? Another politician. Minister for Energy and Emissions Reduction. Do you see how these people link? You can start seeing things when you... And like you can click on things. There's not much about her. What is going on? Okay, let's see what else we can find here. And I noticed they had LinkedIn accounts, and a lot of them have shut them down. She's got a Facebook page. There you go, LinkedIn. Oh, I'm not going to join. Why can't I just look that up? Used to be able to. Here we go. She went to Pymble Ladies College. Okay. See, this can go on for days and days. You can sit here doing this for a long time. It's a day in boarding school for girls. So in other words, this is a, what would you call it? Part of the farm. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go and look up the Bush Telegraph with Karen Brewer. She goes into how all these are demolays from the Freemason-run colleges and schools. And a demalay is someone who's treated really badly when they're young and taught to treat others the same way and end up quite vicious people. Not saying they all do, I'm just saying that and at the international school at Bangkok as well. She's a clinical nurse consultant, McGrath Foundation. Okay. So let's go back and have a look at more. What else have we got? The honourable, I'm not going to say that. No honourable anything in our politicians. She brings a wealth of experience to this important and vital ministry. Bronnie spent 20 years working as a registered nurse in palliative and cancer care. And I'm telling you now, I know a lot of people, or a few people actually, not a lot, but a few, who've had cancer, but seem to have died from the morphine they were given, not the cancer itself. Her work in these fields saw her become one of the first McGrath Foundation breast care nurses, and then became Director of Cancer Services in Southern New South Wales Local Health District. And also with breast cancer, I have heard, don't quote me on this, that most women get it during their life and it comes and goes. But they screen for it because they want you to panic, and once you start panicking, your health goes downhill. It was through her work as a cancer nurse where Bronnie's political career began. Really? Determined to get better services for patients in regional New South Wales, she lobbied. Well, if she had any good intent, I'm pretty sure she doesn't anymore, because she is the one who is keeping HCQ from the people. So you can make your own mind up about whether this person is a good or bad person. But honestly, this was not the person who was in charge at the beginning of the year. It was another person's name. And it came from the Therapeutic Goods Administration. TGA. Okay, let's go home. Do they have a contact? Contact the TGA. Who is it? Do they tell you who it is? No. Okay, let's look up who the... Sorry, you've just got to look at a lot of stuff, guys. You've got to go through things and really find out. Sorry, I'm reading. Okay, let's find out who is in charge of the TGA. Okay, so they're a government body, we know that. But who are they run by? Like, who's the person at the head? It won't be it won't be like someone like Scott Morrison, I'll tell you that right now. It still really doesn't tell you who runs this. Other than the government. Oh, so it's just like a big... This is frustrating. And that's just rubbish. Okay, let's go back and see what else we can find about this lady. Oh, hang on. Okay, Cluster Minister, Brad Hazzard. Let's have a look at him. I don't want media releases. I want to have a look at who he is. So we need to... Okay. Let's go to Wikipedia. Australian politician, Minister for Health and Medical Research since January 2017 in the Berejiklian government. Hazzard is a member of New South Wales Legislative Assembly, representing Wakehurst for the Liberal Party since 1991. He was Minister of the Planning and Infrastructure, assisting the Premier on infrastructure in the O'Farrell government, Attorney General of New South Wales and Minister for Justice between 2014 in the first Baird Ministry, Minister for Family and Community Services, Minister for Social Housing between 2015 and 2017, which did pretty much nothing for anybody. Hazzard was educated at Manly Boys High School, now Manly Selective Campus, Macquarie University, and that says a whole lot. University of New South Wales, where he graduated Bachelor of Laws, University of Sydney. He was a science teacher, then a solicitor, and a partner in a Manly law firm. In August 2019, he came out in support of removing abortion as criminal offence via a bill he co-sponsored with 14 others of all different political parties and independents. He also proposed to ban the controversial conversion therapy at a state national level. Okay, and it tells you all about him as well. Okay, let's go up to here. Selective Manly Campus, Manly Selective Campus. Northern Beaches Secondary College is a government-funded co-educational, academically selective secondary day school located in North Curl. You have to sit through, based on academic excellence through selective high school tests. I'm pretty sure this would be one of them. What else does it tell you? Notable alumni. This is what you want to look at. Okay? Because these, this is how it, if you go to Karen Brewer's Bush Telegraph, or Bush Telegraph with Karen Brewer, she can explain it better than I can, that all these people, it's like a brainwashing school. They go to the same thing and they train for the same thing. So you've got Neville Chenoweth, Lisa Darmanian, Midget Forelli, Mark Gable, Brad Hazard, Reese Hodge, Max Illingworth, Rex Mossop, Doug Mulray, Damjan Stevanovsky, Glenn Murcott, Kareem Neville, Chris Pulpit, Justine, whatever her name is, murdered by Minneapolis Police Department officer. Wow. Is that what she's notable for? You got Doug Mulray, the radio and TV host. They're all in it. Is that an evergreen? Is that an evergreen on their little badge? Anyway, so I went somewhere here, but it sort of went all over the place. Sorry, guys. The last time I looked it up, they were different people. I'm telling you, this was completely different about 6 months ago. So let's go back to where I was with the HCQ. Okay. See, it doesn't really tell. It did earlier in the year. Let me go back. Okay. I'm just looking for names, guys. That's funny that there's not many names, especially on the government website. Like there's no one person in charge of the whole thing. That there is no one boss. And that you have to look for them. Call your doctor at once if you have a seizure, yellowing of your eyes, ringing in your ears or trouble hearing. Well, ringing in my ears I've had for years before I took hydroxy. Unusual mood changes? No. Severe muscle weakness, loss of coordination, underactive reflexes? Nope. 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 No skin rashes. Other than the ones I've had for years anyway as well. Nope. And honest to God, my vision is not getting worse from hydroxy. It was really bad at the beginning of the year. None of that. No. No, it actually has the opposite with stomach pain. I don't feel nervous or irritable. And I'm not getting any hair loss. This is meant to scare people. That's what I think, to be honest. And the rest is all from news sources. Okay, guys. Well, I didn't get anywhere on that, really. Also, Bronnie Taylor went to the University of Sydney. It's an Australian Public Research University. And I've really got to look into these coat of arms. As I said, Sedere mens idem mutato. It sounds like mutated. And one second, guys, hang on. Okay, so these coat of arms things, notice there's a lion on it. And let's go through these. The lions. I've got it open in a bigger and a new page, and you can see. And these are from the Roman Empire, the papal bloodlines. This is from N1 Nasty One. These connect to the Byzantine and French bloodlines too, through the Paleologos family and through the bloodlines of King Pharamond. With these families all combined, these are the puppet masters. This is the Holy Roman Empire. And their coats of arms. And that's what I was trying to point out here with this one. And what does okay. One sec, I'll just search for this, guys. Okay, now searching the words that this coat of arms had on it, this here. Their motto and coat of arms, they said on that it means many different things. Acting Provost Francis L.S. Merriweather officially submitted the design, and Sir Charles Nicholson negotiated the final design with the King of Arms in London. That was done in 1857. Our coat of arms was granted, and we've been using a modernised version since 2010. The golden line at the top represents courage and symbolises England and Cambridge. The open book in the centre is a symbol of learning. It is from Oxford's Arms. The blue cross with the stars likely originates from the popular yet unofficial 19th century symbol for New South Wales. Likely originates, so they don't know. And the Sedere mens idem mutato has many translations. Stars change, the mind remains the same. The constellation is changed, the disposition is the same, or the same learning under new stars. There are other arms that form a part of the history of heraldry at the university. Some of these are officially granted by the College of Arms and others assumed. So you've got the Wesley College, St John's College, the Women's College, St Paul's College, St Andrew's College. Okay, so that's a little bit of digging. It can take a long time, guys. That's why it can take days to get one video out on a bit of a dig. And sometimes, especially at the moment, why I might prefer to read the news just at the moment. Okay, from KDKA, breaking news. PA Health Secretary Dr. Rachel Levine has issued a one-night suspension of alcohol sales starting at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, November the 25th, which is the night before Thanksgiving holiday. And I'm sure that's going to go down really well. I actually don't think that's going to go down well at all. Now, this next one is from President-elect Curious Kiwi in Oz with South Australia Knows What's Up. Now, you ready? Okay, before I play this one, there is going to be swearing. So if you've got kids, pause it here and skip ahead a couple of minutes, please. because there is swearing in here. Okay, guys, hang on one sec. Let me see. Some guy in his garage, he has underpants on, okay? So don't freak out, he's not naked. But he decides to entertain his neighbourhood. There are, as I said, there is swearing in this, so please, if you have children, just skip forward a few minutes. Okay, here you go.
The mask wearers, the TV watchers, it's our last chance to say fuck you to them. So let's rock and roll. Faces hiding in the safe places, and I've been thinking, where are the men involved? That couldn't be bought or sold. Fuck you! I've had enough of this bullshit. Rock and roll is the rebellion. Fuck you! Find out who you fucking are. Don't have to look too far. Keep on trying. If it's your final hour, never let him take your power. Take them down. Don't back down. Fuck you.
Okay, and this one from John B. Wells, 1111. Communist goals presented to Congress in 1963. Read this. How do you think they're doing? I've actually opened it in a new tab. And this is, it was presented to Florida in the House of Representatives on Thursday, January 10th, 1963. And it is the current communist goals from the Naked Communist by Cleon Skousen. Number 1, US acceptance of coexistence as the only alternative to atomic war. The US willingness, number 2, the US willingness to capitulate in preference to engaging in atomic war. Number 3, develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. Number 4, permit free trade between all nations regardless of communist affiliation and regardless of whether or not items could be used for war, and that is what China is doing now. And we are doing with China. Our governments have done anyway. Number 5, extension of long-term loans to Russia and Soviet satellites. Number 6, provide American aid to all nations regardless of communist domination. Number 7, grant recognition of Red China, admission of Red China to the UN, which has just happened. Number 8, set up East and West Germany as separate states in spite of Khrushchev's promise in 1955 to settle the German question by free elections under the supervision of the UN. 9. Prolong the conferences to ban atomic tests because the United States has agreed to suspend tests as long as negotiations are in progress. Number 10. Allow all Soviet satellites individual representation in the UN. Oh. My mouse isn't moving. Okay, number 11. Promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up with a one-world government with its own independent armed forces, some communist leaders believe the world can be taken over as easily by the UN as by Moscow. Sometimes these two centres compete with each other, as they are now doing in the Congo. Well, it's now China. They've traded Moscow for China. Or they're all working together anyway, all the communist regimes. 12, resist any attempt to outlaw the Communist Party. 13, do away with all loyalty oaths. 14, continue giving Russia access to the US Patent Office, which they've done with China, who are using it against their own people. 15, capture one or both of the political parties in the United States, which they seem to have done. 16, use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. 17, get control of the schools, use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum, get control of teachers' associations, and put the party line in textbooks. 18, gain control of all student newspapers. 19, use student rights to foment public protests against programs or organisations which are under communist attack. 20, infiltrate the press, get control of book review, assignments, editorial writing, policy making positions, which they have, but it's not Russia, it's China mainly. Russia is part of it, but it's like everywhere. We've got a deep state and a non-deep state side. 21, gain control of key positions in radio, TV and motion pictures, which they did. Apparently China bought Hollywood out a few years ago. I have to look that up again. Number 22, continue discrediting American culture by degrading all forms of artistic expression. An American communist cell was told to eliminate all good sculptures from parks and buildings, substitute shapeless, awkward and meaningless forms. 23, control art critics and directors of art museums. Our plan is to promote ugliest, repulsive, meaningless art, which they've done quite well, plus the satanic art that they enjoy. 24, eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. So, which they can do with pedophilia. They'll call it censorship. No, it's not. It's wrong. Straight up wrong. Number 25, break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio and TV, which they've been doing since the 70s. Present homosexuality, degeneracy and promiscuity as normal, natural, healthy. Number 27, I think they've got that one down, Pat. I don't have anything against I'm not against anybody, believe me. I don't care if you are homosexual or what you are. I don't have anything against anybody as long as you're a good person inside. 27, infiltrate the churches and reveal religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. 28, eliminate prayer or any phase of religious expression in schools on the ground that it violates the principle of separation of church and state, which they've succeeded in doing here. 29, discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old-fashioned, out of step with modern needs, a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. Well, how about we just all live under the American Constitution and there will not be a hindrance? That's just my opinion. I would adopt the American Constitution. Either that or you guys can adopt me. Okay. Number 30. Discredit the American founding fathers. Present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. And just to go on... okay, I've just really zoomed in. Just to go on this one, where is it? About the Constitution. The Second Amendment allows you to form an armed militia if your government gets out of control. How many of you worldwide think your government is out of control? I do. With Australia, they're out of control. They're just ridiculous. And vote Pauline Hanson. She's the best one. 31. Belittle all forms of American culture and discourage the teaching of American history on the ground that it was only a minor part of the big picture. Give more emphasis to Russian history since the communists took over. I think we'll find they did a long time ago. That we've all been living under a soft form of communism rather than... and that's probably what we think, that's probably what democracy is a small part of communism, where if they, because it's mob rule, so if they can propagandize to one certain portion of the citizens, and a large portion through the mainstream media, then they can direct that country any way they want to. 32. Support any socialist movement to give centralised control over any part of the culture, education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health clinics, etc. 33. Eliminate all laws or procedures which interfere with the operation of the communist apparatus. 34. Eliminate the House Committee on Un-American Activities. 35. Discredit and eventually dismantle the FBI. 36. Infiltrate and gain control of more unions. 37. Infiltrate and gain control of big business. 38. Transfer some of the powers of arrest from police to social agencies. Treat all behavioural problems as psychiatric disorders, which they do, which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. And they do. Has anyone thought that psychiatric disorders may be the world we live in? The vaccinations, the food we eat, the air we breathe, us just not living how we're supposed to? 39. Dominate the psychiatric profession and use mental health laws as a means of gaining coercive control over those people who oppose communist goals. Number 40. Discredit the family as an institution and encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. 41. Emphasise the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents. Attribute prejudices, mental blocks, and retardation of children to suppressive influence of parents. So they're going to take your parenting duties away. 42. Create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition, that students and special interest groups should rise up and use united force to solve economic, political, or social problems. And you had the Chaz. 43. Overthrow all colonial governments before native populations are ready for self-government. Internationalise the Panama Canal was number 44. And number 45 is repeal the Connolly Reservation so the United States cannot prevent the World Court from seizing jurisdiction over nations and individuals alike. How close do you think they got? Because I think they got pretty close. Then this from C3. Remember, Sidney Powell ended up being absolutely correct about every outlandish claim about the FBI and Obama administration, framing and threatening an innocent 3-star general. Now, with this Sidney Powell thing and distancing between the Trump administration and Sidney Powell, there's a reason for that. Trump cannot be seen to be involved with this, otherwise it looks like he is the one going after his opposition. And he'll look like a dictator. So it has to be someone not of the team doing this. And I'll explain to you in a second. I just want to quickly mention this. John Reese. Dianne Feinstein to step down as top Democrat on Senate Judiciary Committee. Okay, now back into Sidney Powell from 1776 Kangaroo. Oh wow, huge. And it's from RE5IGAM. Sidney Powell is registered as a military lawyer and is the only one who can prosecute treason at a tribunal. Okay. So don't let spin doctors and fake media tell you lies about the woman who's bringing down the giants in the swamp. And there are a great number of them, more than anyone could have imagined. Powell stated that the New World Order has overthrown the Republican Party and that the Republican Party sold its soul to the New World Order in return for large cash payments in the form of enormous bribes. Sidney Powell warned the GOP risks of being neutered like a you-know-what by the Great Reset in 2021 if President Trump's second term is stolen from him by children of the darkness. Thank you to Sidney Powell for exposing corruption on all sides. The Republican Party sold out for some cash, and the American people have found out. Now wait and see the real uniting patriots stand for a nation, not a party. Rhinos, join your minions on the left and get out of America's way. We are for freedom and we are standing up. Same goes for Liberal and Labor here. Get out of the way, we're standing up. These are strong and vividly colourful words from a serious, well-seasoned military attorney who just won't roll over and allow the media to drag her reputation through the mud. She's chomping at the bit to get on with real justice, and that is the days in court, be it the Supreme Court or before a military tribunal. In an interview Sunday, Powell stated the Republican elite are not safe hiding behind their propaganda-fueled media institutions, making unaccountable decisions in DC, and silencing patriots who speak out against this insanity. When Trump begins his second term, a tidal wave of punishment will be coming their way, the likes of which has never been seen before in this country. In a news report by Hal Turner, his sources state that Georgia's Republican Governor, Brian Kemp, and the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, both allegedly took money from Communist China, perhaps to intentionally steal the November the 3rd election for Joe Biden. These two sold our votes and constitutional rights to China for $1. The devil went down to Georgia, and indeed he found some to fiddle with. And there you go. That's why I say it's not one side. It actually is two sides. And it's the same in Australia. They've got both our Liberal and Labor parties. And we in Australia, we have a two-party preferred system. Now, I don't know who prefers this two-party system other than the globalists, because I know a lot of people would actually vote Pauline Hanson in if they got half a chance. But because of the two-party preferred system, she can't get in unless she's underneath one of the Liberal or Labors. This is ridiculous. Like, seriously, ridiculous. Okay. This one from Ron at CodeMonkey Z. Watch Coomer explain with his own words how to change votes using the Dominion system. And this is from Political Arts Farm, 2017. Dr. Eric Coomer explains how to alter votes in the Dominion voting system. This seems absolutely ripe for fraud. Don't worry about the election. Trump's not going to win. I made effing sure of that, said Dr. Eric Coomer, VP of US Engineering for US Dominion Voting Company. Okay, so let's have a look at this.
Handle everything currently digitally. This is our digital adjudication system. If you have multiple ICCs, ImageCast Centrals running, they all write the data to a network drop location, and you can have multiple adjudication stations for multiple teams to handle the outstack ballots. This is a typical voter intent issue where they didn't fill out the ovals completely, they just made little tick marks. It's what's called an ambiguous mark. And what we're saying is we're not sure what the voter intent is, but we're going to allow the adjudicators to make that call based on any kind of state statutes. So right on the screen, I can go ahead and say, you know what? The voter meant to mark these. They wanted those votes to count for those candidates. I can do the back page. I'm not going to fill all of them in here. And then I hit complete. It's going to go on to the next ballot. And this is another classic one where the voter has circled the names instead of filling in the ovals. Any ballot that needs to be looked at will show up automatically on the screen. Some key things here. This is a great tool for doing things like audits and recounts. Okay, so things like 5% recounts these days. We have an entire additional system that works very similar to the adjudication product, but it's for reviewing ballots. So you can select whether you want to filter by precinct, a random selection of precincts, or just a random sampling of ballots across the whole election to actually audit. We're doing that to support things. The buzzword in the industry these days are risk limiting audits. It's a statistical way of auditing election results. And we can support that through this system as well.
And there you go. This guy's in a bit of trouble too. And this one from Tafcag. The anon lies are taking over the election conversations online. 1 in 20 tweets about the election now come from the board account. From a board account, you know. One of them. I wonder if I can read it. If I say the words, I'll probably get deleted off YouTube. It came from an anon account. 17 anon followers have increasingly large influence on election-related conversations online, despite social media companies' efforts to silence them. In the weeks since President-elect Joe Biden defeated President Trump, sorry, I'm snickering under my breath here, the number of 17 anon accounts on Twitter has steadily increased as the overall number of posts about the election begins to wane. Those 17 anon accounts make up an increasingly large share of the conversation, according to new research from the Advanced Democracy, Inc., a nonpartisan research group based in Washington, D.C. The research shared with Vice News, but not made public, shows that as of November the 19th, there were 96,100 Twitter accounts associated with the baseless conspiracy theory, so they say, up from 94,800 on election day. ADI labels 17 anon accounts as those who put at least one of a number of major 17 anon linked hashtags in their Twitter bios, meaning this figure does not include any of the accounts actively hiding their affiliations. Code talking, in other words. There's many of us who do not mention it. But there's a reason, because we want to stay where we are. We don't want to get kicked off. So we try not to mention the name too much. Or we don't hashtag people because we know that's an instant they've got it. At 96,100 accounts, so that would be probably a few 100,000 realistically. 17 anon makes up just 0.02% of the total Twitter monthly active user base of 330 million. I think they'll find it's a lot higher than that. But despite being a tiny fraction of total Twitter accounts, 17 anon accounts are punching well above their weight when it comes to driving conversation on Twitter, especially when it comes to the election. According to ADI research, 17 anon-related accounts constituted 4.5% of the total conversation about the 2020 election on Twitter, being between Monday, November the 16th and Thursday, November the 19th. Put another way, approximately 1 in 20 tweets about the election are coming from 17 anon-related accounts. And the situation is even starker for certain hashtags favoured by 17 anon followers. For example, almost 10% of total posts using the hashtag @FightBack were posted by 17 anon accounts. But these conversations were not limited to fringe groups. 17 anon has succeeded in boosting several conspiracy theories about election rigging all the way to the White House, where Trump has shared them. They'll only call things conspiracy theories when they don't want you looking at them. It's as simple as that. And it stops it. The brainwashing has worked so well, it prevents people from looking at it. So when they call things conspiracy theories, it's probably something you do want to look at. As President Trump and most ardent followers continue to post conspiracy theories about the 2020 presidential election, it's notable that 17 anon-related accounts are playing a key role in amplifying the president's false claims. We'll see, won't we, when it comes out in court? And of course, this is from Vice, so they're going to be very, 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 very left-leaning. It is known as one of the most left-leaning sites around. Okay. Amplifying the president's false claims. Daniel J. Jones, the president of Advanced Democracy and former investigator for the United States Senate and the FBI, told Vice News. We do know the FBI is mostly corrupt and that it will be the good guys who are working for them will be taken into the National Security Agency, maybe. That's what I was hearing before. And America's not a democracy, it's a republic. Just so Vice know. I mean, I'm sure Vice is in America. I'm not even in America, I'm in Australia, and I know that the United States is a republic and not a democracy. That's how I think they've been slipping the communism in. What do you reckon? Through this word here, democracy, well, it's actually a trap, I think. Just in the last 4 days, these 17 anon accounts have posted about the election more than 1.1 million times and are responsible for nearly 10% of the amplification of key voter fraud hashtags, Jones added. The popularity of 17 anon has exploded in the last 12 months as it has spread almost unchecked on social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. Really? They've been taking them down. These platforms belatedly took action in recent months to try and limit the movement's spread. Twitter was the first to act when it announced sweeping measures in July to crack down on the 17 anon conspiracy theory, including banning thousands of accounts. And that is why you will not get the true number. Because they're banning people, people are being quiet about the 17 anon, but they're still following. Twitter told Vice News that since it took its enforcement action in July, impressions on this content have dropped by more than 50%. And since that initial announcement, we have seen a sustained decrease in impressions on 17 and unrelated content. Yeah, because they've all gone over to Parler, you half-wits. But 17 and on supporters have been quick to find ways around these bans, and in September the movement's anonymous leader, 17, ordered followers to deploy camouflage by not explicitly mentioning or associated hashtags in order to avoid being detected. Exactly. But as ADI's research shows, 17 and on followers are still wearing their support as a badge of honour on their accounts, highlighting the work Twitter still has to do. Twitter's action against 17 and on is arguably the least effective of the major platforms' recent moves. Ophi Gallagher, an analyst who tracks 17 and on at the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, ISD, told Vice News. Well, I'm not really worried about pronouncing this person's name properly because of who they work for. A number of the most high-profile 17 and on influencers still have active accounts on Twitter and are operating as usual on the platform. The community has stopped using 17 and on related hashtags, but this doesn't stop 17 and on content proliferating on the platform. It just means that it's more difficult for the platform to detect it. As Trump has become more exasperated at his inability to overturn the result of the election, he has embraced ever wilder conspiracy theories. Again, if you see the word conspiracy theories, it's probably something you want to have a look at. The CIA coined the term after JFK because the people were talking about him being shot and not by Harvey Lee Oswald, who was accused of it. And so they brought this term out to stop people looking at things, because people look at this and think automatically it's nuts. So they don't touch it. Last week, he even tweeted a link to an interview with the administrator of Aikung, the place that 17 calls home. Last week, one of Trump's now former lawyers, Sidney Powell, held an unhinged press conference with Rudy Giuliani. Really? That was one of the most sensible things I've ever seen, where she gave support to several conspiracy theories pulled straight from the 17 and on fever swamp, although these views should have come as little surprise given Powell has been closely aligned with 17 and on for a number of years. Oh. Imagine if she is 17. That would be the funniest thing. And they said you're going to laugh when you find out who it is. Trump's legal team jettisoned Powell on Sunday, but she has already vowed to keep on pursuing unfounded claims of election fraud. On Sunday, she released a statement that included several winks towards the 17 community. In order to limit the spread of the increasingly wild accusations coming from the Trump camp, big tech needs to step up, but so do Republicans, Jones warned. And that's why they did. A message to them, you better step up. And so the Republicans who were not true have turned. It's not just the social platforms that need to do more, Jones said. We need clear and unambiguous denunciations from our community leaders and elected officials, most pointedly Republican officials. Oh, shove it where the sun doesn't shine. Far too many of our politicians on the right are unwilling to speak against blatantly false information, or worse, amplifying election conspiracy theories that are so clearly aimed at dividing the country and undermining our democracy. America is not a democracy. Who wrote this? Who is the... David Gilbert. He has no idea. And Vice News has no idea. Well, they do, but they're very left-leaning. So, okay, that's going to drive more people, I think, towards looking at what 17 and on is. You know, 17th letter of the alphabet. Where they're allowed to report on it, but we're not. How does that make sense? They're allowed to report on it without getting censored. But if we do, we get taken down just because we're for it. Anyway, this from Shem Horn. Wow, Miles Taylor was part of the Crossfire Hurricane sham. A new Flynn letter to AG Barr from Senators Chuck Grassley and Senator Ron Johnson alleges FBI link between Flynn case and a Miles Taylor based on heavily redacted May 2017 FBI director notes. Senators request further declassification and all Taylor interview docs former DHS official. What does it say? A placeholder. Oh, okay. I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration, where he stated he intended to thwart President Trump's agenda while he was in the administration. Oh, interesting. So you can actually read where they were infiltrating and trying to wipe it from the inside, destroy it from the inside. I can't read that very well. That's a lot of blanked out stuff there. Redacted. I think we need Miles Taylor recently revealed he was the anonymous author behind the New York Times op-ed, I am part of the resistance inside the Trump campaign. Okay, we've got a letter. Okay. Ron Johnson, Chuck Grassley. On October the 30th, 2020, we requested the Department of Justice declassify several types of records, including then-Director Comey's briefing notes and FBI link messages related to Crossfire Hurricane. The DOJ recently produced to the committees the enclosed partially declassified document titled Director's Briefing Notes Crossfire Hurricane, dated May the 1st, 2017. This document appears to summarise the FBI's investigative efforts as of May the 1st, 2017, relating to subjects of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, namely George Papadopoulos, Michael Flynn, Carter Page and Paul Manafort. This 11-page document includes information about the status of the then ongoing investigations into those individuals and references new information obtained through witness interviews. One of the witnesses named in the section of the document labelled Michael Flynn Crossfire Razor is Miles Taylor, although the document does not fully explain the FBI's interest in Taylor in relation to Flynn. The memo included a placeholder for an interview with Miles Taylor. Taylor previously worked for the House of Representatives, and then in 2017 he joined the Department of Homeland Security, eventually rising to become then Secretary Kirsten Nielsen's Chief of Staff in February 2019. In late October 2020, Taylor revealed that he was the anonymous author of a September 2018 New York Times op-ed titled, "I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration," where he stated he intended to thwart President Trump's agenda while he was in the administration. Taylor resigned from DHS in June 2019, and shortly thereafter, in November 2019, he published a book titled A Warning, which was also critical of President Trump. The FBI document appears to list meetings that Taylor had with Michael Flynn's lobbying organisation, the Flynn Intel Group, in October 2016. The document also noted that a witness interview of Miles Taylor, mentioned in the FARA documents, indicated Flynn Intel Group's involvement with a late 2016 Turkey-related briefing to the now National Security Advisor to the Vice President. Further, under a Flynn subsection titled Moving Forward in the Near Term, the FBI wrote, based on Miles Taylor interview and open source reporting, considering an interview of former CIA Director James Woolsey, redacted. This heavily redacted document suggests that the FBI spoke directly to Taylor, and it also provides additional information relating to Crossfire Hurricane. Accordingly, we request that the entire document, be further declassified. We believe that further declassification is appropriate at this time because, among other factors, the Inspector General's review of Crossfire Hurricane is closed. The investigation has already been the subject of years of oversight, public hearings and document productions, and there is a strong public interest in knowing and understanding what really transpired between and among federal government officials relating to Crossfire Hurricane. Together, these factors outweighed the need to further protect the information contained in the classified records. In addition, we request all records relating to the FBI's interview of Miles Taylor, including all 302s and notes, to better understand his role in the Flynn investigation. Please produce this information as soon as possible, but no later than the 30th of November 2020. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Very good. So there are things going on behind the scenes. Oh, there's more. Wow, okay. George Papadopoulos, Crossfire Typhoon. Papadopoulos continues to be represented by legal counsel. On March 24th, Papadopoulos made email contact with a case agent regarding concerns about his personal email being hacked. The case agent reached back out to Papadopoulos, offering to talk to him about the alleged hack, and also with OGC, confirming that with Papadopoulos, legal counsel that it was okay. Legal counsel indicated that it was fine to talk to his clients about the email issue, but there was no further response on the subject from Papadopoulos. And then how much of it's redacted? 24th of March, potential email problem from George Papadopoulos to blank, FBI recipients blank. Hope all is well. Wanted to bring to your attention and the agency that I received a warning from blank stating that my email has been under attack from government-backed hackers who seek to steal my password. The threat is a legitimate one that has affected journalists and policymakers recently, as reported in the Post. Not sure if this warrants letting you know, but given the circumstances, thought perhaps the agency should know that I have been targeted. Have never received that message before. Papadopoulos continues to maintain a now tenuous relationship with blank, CHS blank, has noted multiple occasions in which Papadopoulos has lied to the CHS about his physical whereabouts. On April the 19th, CHS contacted SA blank and relayed that Papadopoulos had turned off his/her delivery receipts on his/her cell phone, and that Papadopoulos was not responding to CHS text messages. CHS then relayed that CHS would send an email to Papadopoulos. Subsequently, the CHS contacted SA blank relayed that Papadopoulos had told the CHS that he/she was out of the country somewhere in Europe. However, blank observed Papadopoulos on both the 19th of the 4th, 2017 and 20th. Blank is not pursuing FISA and is awaiting returns on blank. Blank, we are evaluating returns we have received, social media financials, updated tolls through March 2017. Papadopoulos downplaying his relationship connection with blank to FBI and FBI CHS, 1st of February 2017. Papadopoulos told blank in interview that he cut ties blank, and his connections with Papadopoulos. Blank preliminary analysis of financial returns indicated a whole lot of blanks, based on the name associated with more blanks. In his February 10th interview with FBI, Papadopoulos said he was a volunteer and never received any form of payment or reimbursement from the Trump campaign. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at all the blanks. And it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to read. This is ridiculous. That's why I'm laughing, because it's ridiculous. Blank, in late March, Papadopoulos had visited in Chicago. Blank, who flew to Chicago. Blank met with Papadopoulos and then flew out. Blank, on March 2017. Why did they blank the date out? And blank, a surveillance team was observed Papadopoulos meeting blank. A surveillance video was taken while the subject was departing a restaurant with the two individuals. The following day, FBI CHS reported one of the visitors was blank. 2, the other was blank. 3, they wanted to meet Papadopoulos and blank. 4, blank paid for Papadopoulos' meal. And 5, they left Chicago immediately after meeting with him. Blank, moving forward in the near term. Blank, continue review and analysis of returns. Blank, serving legal process and possible interview of the account owner blank. Blank, focused effort on Mifsud, the two Olgas he allegedly introduced Papadopoulos to in London, and a Russian male, Ivan Timofeev, who was allegedly introduced to Papadopoulos in London by Mifsud. There is an individual in blank who apparently knows Timofeev. Whole lot more blanks. Blank, Michael Flynn, Crossfire Razor. The Flynn investigation has been bifurcated. The Logan Act and Russia-related issues continue to be kept under the Crossfire Razor investigation. However, potential FARA violations involving Flynn and the Flynn Intel Group, Turkey blank, have been captioned under a separate blank. Our team has managed the entire bifurcated investigation. Blank has received preliminary subscriber and toll returns. The results dated March 2016 to February 2017. Process has also been served on multiple Flynn and Flynn Intel Group related entities as outlined in his retroactive submitted FARA forms received in March from Covington and Burlington LLP. A witness interview of Miles Taylor mentioned in the FARA documents indicated Flynn Intel Group's involvement with a late 2016 Turkey-related briefing to the now National Security Advisor to the Vice President. Blank, per letter dated 7th of March 2017, Covington and Burlington LLP responded to DOJ NSD's FARA obligation letter on behalf of Flynn and Flynn Intel Group. Blank letter argued that Flynn Intel Group's client was foreign corporation versus foreign government, so Lobbying Disclosure Act registration was filed via the FARA, but because FIGs work for Netherlands-based Innovo BV regarded Fethullah Gulen, it could be constructed that the principal constituency was Government of Turkey, hence they are filing a retroactive registration in lieu of prior LDA registration. Wow, okay. Blank letter claims FIG's contract with Innovo BV concluded on 15th of November 2016 with non-renewal after Flynn named National Security Advisor. My goodness. Blank's Innovo BV's sole owner. Sorry, I just hiccuped. Ekim Altekin. Did I say that right? Wow. Blank at the time hired Innovo, representing private security company in Israel seeking to export natural gas to Turkey. Blank 15th of August 2016, 15th of November 2016, 600,000, paid 530,000. Blank companies, entities listed in Farah Docs, Sphere Consulting PR firm, to create a Gulen-related video. SGR LLC Government Relations and Lobbying, PR firm engaged by FIG on Gulen research work, Gulen Schools. White Canvas Group, Operational Behavioural Services. What? Do you see something wrong here? Operational Behavioural Services, working in Gulen Schools. A PR firm. Anyway, blank 19th September 2016. Flynn met with Turkey's Foreign Minister, plus Minister of Energy in New York. Blank October 2016. Per Farah documents, Flynn's FIG Vice Chair and Director, Bijan Rafikian, met with Miles Taylor 2 times at House Committee on Homeland Security, plus at FIG offices, raised FIG's work with Innovo, plus Gulen Research. FIG also blank oversaw outreach conducted by PR firm to state government official in Arkansas. A whole lot of blanks. Placeholder interview with Miles Taylor. Mostly blank, except for the bottom. Blank. Over the last month, we've received blank reporting from multiple FBI field officers on Flynn. More blank. Blank March 2017, even more blanks. Papadopoulos in meeting claimed to have worked very closely with Michael Flynn and offered to broker meetings with blank and Trump administration. Blank March 2017, blank blank, would know if government of Turkey funded Flynn contract. Ekim Altekim is close to unnamed individual blank who was part of Trump's transition team. Blank March 2017, blank Flynn met with members of Turkish emigre community in September 2016. Meeting arranged by Ibrahim Kurtulus. Flynn discussed Obama administration approach to Gulen. President could make DOJ investigate Gulen if he wanted an investigation. Blank 13 April 2017, blank Ibrahim Kurtulus is avid Erdogan supporter and used his connections to arrange meeting with Flynn to influence USG policy on Turkey. Kurtulus lives on blank March 2017, blank Ekim is very anti-Gulen. He does business with Turkey involving energy deals. Oh. Blank March 2017, blank Flynn attended Russian Embassy Great Lent event in late February with politicians and religious leaders, discussed general matters, one topic being Orthodox Church in America. Blank April 2017, a whole lot of blanks. Board member of blank partner of blank, told blank that blank on behalf of Erdogan had relationship with Flynn during the 2016 presidential election. A lot more blanks. Oh, jeez. My goodness. Had good connection with Flynn. They considered Flynn an inside contact. Blank inferred Flynn had conversations with blank prior to US presidential election. Blank moving forward in the near term. Blank conduct full-scope financial analysis and logical interviewers receive additional returns. Blank query FBI CHS for additional information including blank CHS. Blank based on Miles Taylor interview plus open source reporting, considering an interview of former CIA Director James Woolsey, blank blank blank. How many pages are there? A lot of blanks. Okay, blank Carter Page Dragon Crossfire. Dragon something. Why did they blank that out? Blank has renewed the FISA on Page, which expires on June the 30th. Blank does not expect a subsequent renewal and plans on relying on legal process for additional information on accounts and facilities. Blank on blank of April 2017, FBI submitted blank requests for banking, financial records, and a whole lot more blank. Blank to date, blank has 5 interviews with Page regarding the 2016 presidential election, previous and ongoing Russian contacts, and various public allegations regarding blank Russia-related ties. Page has retained legal counsel. Future interviews are to be coordinated between NSCLB and Page's attorney. A team at blank is now reviewing FISA-derived material. The following highlights from the interviews. Blank Ed Cox, Nixon's son-in-law, introduced Page to Michael Glasner, who introduced Page to Sam Clovis. Blank denied meeting with Divikin and Sechin, but says that he met with current, former Gazprom and Rosneft Audrey Baranov, and briefly past Deputy Prime Minister Arkady Dvorkovich. Later said that a Duma member's assistant female approached him after a speech. Blank, very confused narrative about his interactions with AMBO Kislyak at the RNC in Cleveland, denied meeting with Kislyak in Cleveland, but said that he was in the room with him and may have had witnessed brief convos between Kislyak and Sessions. Subsequently, if conversation occurred with Kislyak and J.D. Gordon, he would have just been listening. He couldn't recall for sure. He may have had individual conversation, but others were close nearby. Later said that he approached Kislyak and gave him a business card, but Kislyak didn't demonstrate any interest in talking to him. Blank claimed zero influence on the change in the GOP platform on Ukraine. Blank agreed that he was probably on the SVR's books regarding prior relationship with SVR blank offices in New York. Blank. Moving forward in the near term. Blank concerted investigative and analytical work on blank and an associate blank. Number 1, blank, we're not opening a case, blank. Number 2, blank, Page claimed to the FBI that Gordon was bought to the campaign by Paul Manafort. 3, blank, Page claims to the FBI that Manafort more likely than not recommended the platform change. Number 4, blank, earlier in discussing the RNC platform change with an FBI CHS Page, indicated that he had gone to Cleveland, but he had stayed clear of the platform committee. Page admitted there were a lot of conspiracy theories regarding his involvement with the platform committee. He told the CHS that members of our team were working with the platform committee, but that is way better off that he had remained at arm's length from that. So, yeah, they're allowed to talk of conspiracy theories. Number 5 is all blank. Blank, conduct full-scope financial analysis and logical interviews as we receive additional returns. Paul Manafort, Crossfire Fury. There are multiple lines of effort regarding Paul Manafort, his financial dealings, his involvement with the Trump campaign, and his connections to Russia and pro-Russian political elements in Ukraine. The team is now managing and working to deconflict these elements, and as Paul indicated, we have public corruption agent serving as the program manager for all of the Manafort lines of effort. Okay, here's where it looks like it's going to get interesting. There are multiple lines of effort regarding Paul Manafort. Okay, we just read that. Blank in coordination with EDVA and money laundering and asset recovery section, MLARS, over blank have been issued for blank international corruption investigation, blank. This involves alleged laundering of money stolen by Yanukovych and paid to Manafort via Cyprus. Multiple members of the team met with the agents and financial analysts involved in the international corruption investigation on April blank. In a recent DOJ negotiated meeting with the Associated Press, it was learnt that AP had a source with information about a storage unit in Alexandria, rented to two partially named individuals but paid by Manafort. Blank is investigating the storage unit. Blank SDNY has its own mortgage fraud investigation of Manafort-owned properties in New York. This investigation also involves a bank named bank in Chicago. FBI has not been involved in this investigation to date. SDNY has been using its own 1811s. Or 1811s, I don't know. Blank, this case stems at least in part from open source reporting. A February 2017 blog post by Blank, a neighbourhood blogger who identified a townhouse in Brooklyn owned by Manafort. The property has large mortgage loans taken out against it, exceeding the value of the property. 3 loans totaling $16 million are associated with Federal Savings Bank in Chicago. Founder chairman is Steve Cork, who, per open source, was an early Trump campaign supporter and named member of Trump's Economic Advisory Council. Per open source, $16 million represents 5.4 of the bank's total assets, plus 23.7 of total shareholder equity. There's a lot more Blank, and more Blank also has counterintelligence investigation Blank, under which it has moved the Crossfire Fury Blank. Blank moving forward is the near term. Blank conduct full scope financial analysis and logical interviews as we receive additional returns, particularly focused on the Richard Gates and Blank, both of whom work with Manafort in Ukraine. Blank concerted investigative and analysis work on Blank, and they're all Blank. Conduct review of Podesta Group related retroactive FARA submissions and materials regarding Manafort Gates, direction of lobbying efforts of Podesta Group, plus Mercury through European Centre for Modern Ukraine, filed mid-April. Possible Yanukovych tied Brussels think tank determined any ties between Kilimnik and think tank. And validation, it's a lot of Blank. Agent Blank meeting Steele's. Oh, I didn't put that there. Who put that there? Okay. Primary subsource Blank, 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 Blank. Blank in-person meetings on Blank, 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 Blank. And his legal counsel, more Blanks. Blank, there are Blank, primary Blank, sub-sources of interest, and a lot more Blanks. Even more Blanks. And Blank, there are 3 current libel, slander, defamation legal cases involving the release of some of the Steele material by BuzzFeed. These involve 1 reports about Alexei Gabarov Global IT Company, and Michael Cohen. Blank, blank, blank. Blank. Gubarev, XBT, Webzilla is suing BuzzFeed. Filed libel slander suit in early February in Broward County, Florida, and in late February filed notice of removal to federal court. Blank. Gabarev has also filed the defamation libel lawsuit in London against Christopher Steele in a court filing on this case, according to Washington Times last Tuesday. Steele acknowledged that the material on Gubarev was unverified, came from unsolicited intelligence and raw intelligence that needed to be analysed and further investigated and verified. And then there's a whole lot of Blank. Blank. Michael Cohen last Monday said to Washington Times that he has instructed his own attorney to investigate legal action versus BuzzFeed and is considering a lawsuit against Christopher Steele. Steele's in a bit of trouble here. Blank. Last week was submitted a lot of Blank. In order to validate the Steele reporting on this alleged trip to Prague, his interactions with Russian officials, presidential administration and or Rosso Trudniketstvo, and his interactions involving setting up deniable payments to hackers, blank. Blank blank R.E. Michael Cohen's relationship with Andriy Artemenko, lobbying for Ukraine peace plan. Cohen Felix Sater brokering meetings with Trump, an exiled Libyan opposition leader. Blank moving forward in the near term. Blank intensifies efforts on blank, which could include the use of legal process. A whole lot of blanks. Blank querying of existing FBI CHS for Steele validation, which I won't get because half of Steele's information was false. The Steele dossier, it was false. It was a whole lot of made up rubbish. Okay, so that's that. And we've read that. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it there for today because that is a lot. And hopefully you've got some extra information that might put other things that you've heard together as well, hopefully. And I'm sorry about the bit of the lame dig at the beginning. It wasn't really good. It wasn't as good as I could do, but that takes days to do. So all you've got to do is just keep looking at the names, look at symbols, look at what schools they go to, and go and look at the Bush Telegraph with Karen. Sorry, I can't remember her name right now. Kerry Bauer. She knows all the Australian politicians that are Freemasons, and she shows you how to do it in one of her videos, how to look for them. Okay, guys, I hope you have a good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, guys. Bye.